What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Okay, second video of the day. I got a little tip from my friend Andy McGrillen from That UFO podcast. He got to speak with Representative Eric Burlison earlier on Tuesday about age of disclosure, about David Grusch, and more importantly, about President Trump probably being the disclosure president, which is by now arguably the strongest rumor there is in UFO land, I would say. And I can tell you that yes, there is a real effort that involves a lot of people within the whole movement. It's not just politicians and intel folks and military. It's also people like Walter Kern, who's an author, Joe Rogan, who's a podcaster, and many more. So now we can add one more. He's a politician, but as you guys know, Burleson is one of the most quoted people on this channel, I would say, because whenever he's on the mic, he always says something really interesting. Like, he's the one who told us that President Trump was briefed on Nordics and tall whites and all that stuff. He's the one who told us that David Grusch alluded to some of the evidence he saw looked like the Nazca tridactyls. That was Burleson too. He also likes to explore whatever the topic is. I'm sure he doesn't know exactly what it is, as I think all of us, but he's very open to any possibility. And I do have to applaud that. So today he spoke with Andy, and Andy's question was about President Trump. So here it is.
I want to ask you, you mentioned Dan Farah, the producer of The Age of Disclosure. He was on the Joe Rogan show, and they hinted that President Trump may be considering a major announcement by the end of the year, something along the lines of, "We are not alone." From where you sit, how credible or realistic is that possibility?
You know, Trump is the disclosure president. I mean, he's been releasing the JFK files, the assassination files on MLK. He's been very open about releasing the information about the assassination of RFK as well. And there's a lot of remarkable information that's being released. And despite the news, he has been extremely responsive to oversight's requests, unlike his predecessor, Joe Biden, who never responded to oversight requests for documents. Trump has never really turned us down. So on the Epstein files. So we are getting all these, you know, we've received tens of thousands of Epstein documents, and we released 65,000 pages of documents just through the oversight committee in that process. So Trump is really the disclosure president. I think that but the game changer, and I think Dan Farah is right, is that the moment that a president of the United States steps to the podium and makes that declaratory statement that we have evidence that we are not alone, will be probably one of the most defining moments in world history. And so I think Trump is the right person to do that.
I see what you guys are doing here, and you're like convincing me that I should go on stage and say we're not alone. You guys are like really, really trying. It's Grusch, it's Walter Kern, it's Representative Burleson, it's Dan Farah, it's Joe Rogan. Everybody's putting their 2 cents to it, and they're pushing for Trump to disclose. I wonder if Trump is watching all of these sound bites and these videos and what he thinks about this. It would be very interesting to know if something really does happen, because, man, this seems to be like a Hail Mary for them, doesn't it?
It absolutely would be probably the defining statement of humanity. A colleague of yours and friend, potentially at this point, David Grusch, has just been interviewed on Fox News. He's been working as a consultant with the House Secrets Task Force. Could you just briefly...
to correct that on Fox News, he's not a consultant for the task force. He's a consultant for me. So he is my staff and can only consult me.
Apologies on that.
It's not your fault. A lot of people get that wrong.
Yeah, I got it off Fox, so we'll blame them. Can you just share for me very briefly, what does that role look like and what progress has been made specifically with him and being involved?
Yeah, David has really been extremely helpful in navigating the intelligence community. And I mean, that entire landscape is very very complicated. It's like learning a foreign language. It's absolutely convoluted and difficult to navigate, and that's where Grusch has really shined for us in this process.
I think a lot of folks would think David Grusch knows a lot that he can't say. How close are we to getting David Grusch back into SCIFs that we've heard there have been massive issues getting clearances put back in? Is David Grusch able to speak freely now in SCIFs to the people that he needs to speak to?
He can speak at the top secret level. He can't speak at the TSSCI level, but that is something that we were able to gather a lot of information at the top secret level. And myself and Anna Polina Luna have been in a briefing with him at that level. And then I think that now she would like to have a briefing, the same briefing given to a larger group of people. In addition, we've been in a briefing with the FBI. Hopefully we'll be able to get more members into that briefing the next time it's done. So all of this is just gaining momentum and getting more people to pay attention to this topic.
Which was the goal from the beginning, I think. It's not just the film. Like, the film was potentially a key moment, I think, because it is garnering a lot of attention. And yeah, it has 94% right now on Rotten Tomatoes from the audience score. I find it really interesting, and this is a critique against Dan Farah, I guess, or I don't know if it's Amazon, but I find it really interesting that there's only still 8 reviews from critics, from like professional critics on Rotten Tomatoes. And to those who don't understand what Rotten Tomatoes does not affect how a movie is rolled out. Movies roll out, and the system works like this. There's a critic score and an audience score. And as an audience member, you can go into the Rotten Tomatoes page, you leave your review between 1 and 5 stars, and you can write something up. And that's how you do it. And the critics, depending on the publication they work for, they just introduce their review to the system in Rotten Tomatoes, and Rotten Tomatoes says whether it's rotten or not. And the thing is, there are many instances when the critics don't like a movie generally, like it's a rotten movie below 50%, it's rotten. And the fans love the movie. It's happened multiple times with many different movies. More notoriously, it happened with some of the Star Wars and Marvel films. It happened. In this case, and here comes a critique, I think that if you want for a film to be considered for any award, it's not just the press that you have to take care of, Dan. You need to also take care of the critics. It would have been really nice if you, for example, I'm good friends with Christian Harloff, who is one of the most famous critics in the West Coast. He's now on the East Coast, but he built his career in the West Coast. And I would dare say he's one of the most important critics in the US generally. And he never received any kind of invitation to anything when it comes to age of disclosure. So the reason why there's not a lot of critics who have reviewed the movie is because there wasn't a campaign to try and get critics to see the movie. And I don't care if you say, oh, we gotta make the money, we gotta charge for tickets. If you really want for the film to have an impact with the critic, I think that you needed to save many seats for them and invite them to them, or send them a private link for a screening so they can watch it beforehand. Another thing that you guys are doing, which I really think it's detrimental to your cause, is that I don't know if it's Amazon or it's you, Dan, but you guys are copyright striking a lot of people for content, even though some of that content is just a trailer, which is used for news purposes. I do reports. I have one video that I couldn't monetize. I still did it though, because I think it's important, but that is gonna drive people away. And it's gonna, if you go after people for doing memes, for mocking in any way what the film is, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And you going after those people is not a good look for you. And I've seen already that some of your team or Amazon, I don't know who it is, are hunting down people for copyright infringement and for playing the trailer, which is for the public to consume, and also going after people who are critical of the film. If they're not disrespectful, but they're critical, I think that's fair. And I think that going after them is dumb. Sorry, but that's the way I feel about it. And I think it was a really missed opportunity to not invite at least some critics to watch the film or send them a private screening so they can review it. Still, regardless, I think that this film is going to have a really big impact. It already is having a big impact. And I think that the main plan for this film was to try and gain momentum so they can convince Donald Trump to disclose. That's what they're doing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but let me know what you think about the plan. What do you think about Eric Burlison calling President Trump the disclosure president? Do you agree with that? And what do you think about David Grusch and the recent activity that he's doing and what Burlison discussed about how Grusch has been helpful for the task force? Let me know in the comments. And I'm going to leave the interview, the full interview. It's like 18, 20 minutes. So you can go check it out because Andy asked some really cool questions that I'm not going to cover here, but go watch that interview. It's really good. Kudos to Andy for this one. Leave the comments down there. I'll be reading. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, hype, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in other ways, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can also become a member on YouTube, or you can support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always very, very appreciated. So thank you. And that's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive, like Andy McGrillen from That UFO podcast. Always. Bye.